The story of hope. On the edge of a drought-stricken valley stood a village that had forgotten how to look ahead. The wells were thinning, the crops brittle, and each sunrise felt less like a beginning and more like a repetition of loss. People spoke only of what had failed and what might fail next. Children learned caution before curiosity. Among them lived a young woman named Elira, who carried water each day from a distant spring that had not yet run dry. The journey was long, and the path uncertain, sometimes blocked by fallen rock, sometimes swallowed by shifting dust, but she walked it anyway. Not because she was sure the spring would last, but because she believed the act of walking mattered. When asked why she continued, she would answer simply, "Because tomorrow is not finished yet." The elders found her answer unsatisfying. "You speak as if the future owes us something," one said. "Look around, everything declines. To expect more is to deceive yourself." Elira shook her head. "I don't expect the future to serve us. I believe we are meant to meet it." Her words puzzled them. She did not deny the cracks in the earth or the weight of their suffering. She named them clearly, even more clearly than most. Yet she refused to let those truths close the horizon. There was, in her, a quiet defiance, not against reality, but against the idea that reality was all that could ever be. One evening, as the sky burned with a dim, copper light, a traveler arrived. He had come from beyond the mountains and carried no provisions, only a worn journal and a steady gaze. The villagers gathered, hoping for news of rain or greener lands. "There are no easy answers beyond your valley," the traveler said. "But there are people who still plant, even when the harvest is uncertain. Not because they are blind, but because they trust that their labor participates in something greater than immediate results." The elder scoffed. "Trust in what? Chance?" The traveler hesitated, then replied, "In a goodness that is not always visible, but is never absent." Elira listened closely. That night, she approached him. "You speak of trust," she said. "But how do you hold it when everything suggests otherwise?" He opened his journal and showed her a page filled with careful writing. "I write down what I cannot yet see fulfilled," he explained. "Not as a prediction, but as a promise I choose to live toward." Hope is not certainty. It is fidelity to what is true, even when it is incomplete. Elira returned home with those words echoing in her mind. The next morning, she took a different path to the spring, one that wound higher along the hills. It was riskier, steeper, and longer, but from its height, she could see farther than before. She noticed something she had not seen, a faint line of green tracing the valley's far edge, where a hidden stream might still flow beneath the surface. She brought the news to the village. Some dismissed it as wishful thinking. Others hesitated, caught between doubt and curiosity. But Elira did not argue. She simply began to walk that direction each day after gathering water. A few children followed her first, drawn more by her persistence than her reasoning. Then a farmer joined, then another. They did not abandon their realism, they carried tools, measured the soil, tested the ground. But they allowed themselves to act as though the unseen stream might be real. Days passed. The work was slow, uncertain. At times, it seemed futile. Yet something changed, not only in the land, but in the people. Their conversations shifted. They began to speak not just of what had been lost, but of what might yet be restored. Not with naive certainty, but with a steady willingness to continue. At last, beneath a patch of stubborn earth, they found moisture. Not a flood, not a miracle in the way they had imagined, but enough. Enough to dig deeper, to channel, to begin again. The elders stood at the edge of the newly uncovered stream, silent. One turned to Elira. "You saw this before it existed." She shook her head gently. "No. I chose to act as though it could." The traveler, preparing to leave, offered one final thought. "Hope does not erase suffering," he said. "It gives it direction. It does not guarantee outcomes, but it shapes who you become while seeking them." As the seasons slowly turned, the valley did not transform overnight. There were still hardships, still failures. But the people were no longer confined to the present moment's despair. They had learned to live between what is and what may be, to act responsibly within uncertainty, to trust without blindness, and to endure without surrender. And in that space, between struggle and fulfillment, hope took root, not as illusion, but as a way of being that opened their lives to something greater than themselves. In time, the valley came to be known not for its drought, but for the quiet strength of its people. The stream they uncovered never became a river, and their lives were never free from hardship, but something deeper had changed. They no longer measured their existence only by what they possessed or lacked, but by the faithfulness with which they lived each day. Elira, now older, often returned to the high path where she had first seen beyond the limits of the valley. When others asked her what had truly saved them, she did not point to the water, nor to the work of their hands alone. It was hope, she would say, not as a wish for easier days, but as a decision to walk forward with truth, to act with courage, and to trust that our lives are held within a purpose greater than what we can see. And so the village endured, not because they had escaped uncertainty, but because they had learned how to live within it. Their hope, grounded in reality yet open to the divine, became the well that never ran dry.